You're listening to Hawk Talk with former Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Play fake, going to roll right, dumps it off into the right flat to Michael Bumpus, who bounces off of one tackler, gets inside the 40, down to the 35-yard line.
Powered by Seahawks.com.
Matt pump fakes, looking to the goal line. He throws it into the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks! It's Michael Bumpus with a diving catch in the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown reception for Bumpus, and the kid out of Washington State has found himself a place on this team.
Now, here's your host, NASA Chobe.
Welcome into another edition of Hawk Talk. The Seahawks getting ready to take on the New England Patriots down there in Foxborough, coming off an electric win at Lumen Field over the Denver Broncos in Week 1. Bump, it was fun. I missed you. Earlier this week. I had to do it by myself.
How was that?
It was awkward. I did not like it.
You just talked a lot.
I talked the entire time, and I was in this room by myself, trying to look at the camera, trying to look up and down.
I'm sure it was fire, though.
I mean, I hope so. Listeners, let me know. Be nice. You know, I try to do the weight for both of us, but you know what? Yeah. I got you back today.
Hey, let's get it. Off a win, too, baby. Come on.
This team is flying high. It should be really fun. Let's get into these New England Patriots. What's on tap?
What's on tap?
Win in Week 1, Bump.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie to you. When I saw New England this offseason, you know, obviously similar, I guess people could think about the Seahawks. But
Right.
you move on from a legendary coach, one of the best to ever do it, Bill Belichick. Gerard Mayo steps up as the new head coach. Tom Brady's been gone. They move on from Daniel Jones. But, boy, did they come out and play some good football against these Bengals, man.
Man, they look good. I was surprised. I saw the score, and I thought Joe Burrow and the squad was going to tear him up, but no, it was a different story.
No, I definitely had a loss down when I was looking at the schedule beforehand, but they beat the Bengals on the road 16-10, kicking off, like I said, the Gerard Mayo era. They were a 7.5-point underdogs. Not that we're into the gambling side of things, but ESPN Stats and Info says that's the biggest upset since 2018 in Week 1. So that was pretty crazy. So let's jump into that game. You got Jacoby Brissett, right, Bump? So he wins the starting job over Drake May. And I don't know if it's won because I don't know if it was a real competition. I think they wanted Brissett to come in there and be the veteran guy and let Drake May learn behind, you know, a not veteran offensive line that's a little younger, could be a little banged up. But he came out there and got the job done. He went 15-24, 124 yards. No touchdowns, but did not turn the ball over. Also carried the ball 7 times for 32 yards. But the big help to the Patriots offense, it's going to be Ramondre Stevenson, man. That boy runs hard.
He looked good, man. He looked good.
I mean, 120 yards on 25 carries, 1 touchdown. And Jen Mueller, shout out to Jen Mueller, she had a stat earlier that he had about 115 or so yards after contact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, excuse me, I'm sorry, what?
There was a play he made in the backfield. It was a zone left. As soon as he gets the football, the end is already crashed down. He spins off of them, has a defender in front of him, shakes him, and then picks up 7-8 yards. I go, yeah, this man's healthy. He's for real. He's ready to go.
Yeah, we're going to get into him when we get into Man Up, but he had a big day, and he really helped this offense go out. And the Bengals, Bump, I'm not going to lie, they were just simply bad on offense in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get anything going, and for most of the second half. Cincinnati went 3-and-out on his first 3 possessions, and Joe Burrow eventually moved the Bengals into the red zone in the second quarter, but came away with nothing. They turned the ball over there in the red zone. Second half, Cincinnati's Charlie Jones fumbled away a punt, which led to a Patriots field goal. Then the Bengals came up a yard short on 4th down and turned the ball over on downs. Cincinnati finally got in the end zone near the end of the third quarter on a Zach Muss 5-yard run. Evan McPherson's 51-yard field goal cut the New England's lead 16-10, and that's where it would stay. Bengals get the ball back with 2:56 left and don't get the first down, elected to punt. Stevenson then runs out the clock with 2 first downs, and they get the job done. Jamar Chase ended up playing. There was a big hubbub about if he was going to go or not. He did play, didn't really do much.
Should have been at practice.
Yes, he should have been at practice.
No, I'm just playing, Jamal, man. Get your money. I'm just playing.
6 receptions, 62 yards. And then Keon White, we're going to talk about him a lot. He brought the pressure defensively, 2.5 sacks, 3 QB hits. Most people thought these Patriots would not be a great football team, but yeah, had your boy reconsidering.
It's when everything's new, right? You don't know what you're gonna get. In Week 1, I tell you, it will lie to you. It'll tell you some truth. So you're trying to take what's real and what's not. But what is real is that you knew that when Mayo was hired, he was gonna keep some of that Belichick, but bring in some of that new. And I think that's what we're seeing. That's what we're feeling. But he's gone. He might face some adversity this week. So
I count on it.
We'll see how he adjusts.
Let's get into head-to-head, Bump. What do you see out of? I know the head-to-head. This is a big part of our feature. We like to look how the teams stack up it's really hard after week 1. So knowing we go through this, that we know it's only been 1 week, but it's still important. It kind of shows what happened last week. So, Bump, what stands out to you?
Now, I'm going to start on defense because it's a top 10 defense in the league right now.
Hey,
after
say it
week
again.
1, I'm so top 10 defense in the league right now. 6 overall, giving up 231 yards a game. One game, I'm talking about the Seahawks. Gave up 99 yards in the run last week, 133 through the air, and allowed 20 points. The Patriots defense, top 5 defense of the league after 1 week, gave up 224 yards, 70 on the ground, 154 through the air, and gave up 10 points. That's going to be tough. Again, they'll be tested this week. Let's go to the offensive side. The Seahawks, 304 yards overall, 146 on the ground, 158 passing. I expect that number to go up a little bit when you make some adjustments. The Patriots, 290 overall, or 290 average. Last week had 290 yards, 19th overall, 170 on the ground. That's going to be a big one. 120 through the air and gave up 16 points. We do this, and we got to do it every week.
Right.
Around week 4, I think is when it's like, okay, we have a clear picture of who this team is. But watching both teams, I can say that defensively the Hawks are so much better than they were last year, and defensively the Patriots are a dang good team too. They're disciplined, they run around, they tackle. It should be good. The numbers are going to change throughout the few weeks, but both these teams are good defensively.
Yeah, no question about it. And between Gerard Mayo and Mike McDonald, both first-time head coaches, and their defenses look like they looked the part.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I've heard anyone talking about Gerard, when he was a player, he was that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Knew every alignment, knew where everyone was supposed to line up, every single call. He was getting other people lined up, calling out what the offense was doing. So it's not a surprise that he has the defensive side of the ball.
They said he's Robert Kraft's stepson. That's how tight he was with the organization. So he's in there.
Yes, he is in there, and his defense is looking good. But as we do every week, I like to know the history. What happened the last time these two teams played? Let's know the history.
Know your history.
Seahawks lead the all-time series between the two teams 10-9 in the regular season, 0-1 in the postseason, but who cares about that one? Just going to blow past that one. Hawks have won 3 of the last regular season meetings. The last meeting, Bump, came down to a thriller at Lumen Field in 2020. So, Bump, take everyone behind the curtain a little bit.
It was weird.
It was a weird time because there was no fans. And I mean, we were among, 100 people in the building other than teams?
We had a nice suite in the corner.
Yeah.
This is the one time we could actually react to what's going on. Because typically, you're in the box with Raves and Wyman. I'm in the press box, and you're not supposed to react. You're supposed to be professional. Oh, we was acting a fool that year. Because we were in the suite all by ourselves. We were fans. We could hear the players cheering and celebrating. So it was a weird setting, but we were also one of the lucky ones to still see this game live.
Yeah, it was eerie feeling that entire COVID season, but man, lots changed since then for real. But during that game, it was a shootout, back and forth. 9 drives ended up in touchdowns for both teams. Things started off pretty brutal though for the Seahawks. Russell Wilson looking for his boy Greg Olsen, right through his hands, picked off by Devin McCourty, ran back, 43-yard touchdown. Hawks would answer right back with a 13-play, 75-yard drive, ending with a 4-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett, and this just went back and forth. Ain't nobody was getting no stops.
Mm-mm.
Cam Newton was leading the Patriots. He came back 9-play, 79-yard drive, took him all the way down to the 1-yard line, and this is what the game came down to. 35-30, Seahawks leading. Ball's at the 1-yard line. They need to keep him out of the end zone. And on the last play of the game, Cam Newton, mind you, was balling out that game. He'd already rushed for a couple touchdowns. Takes the ball off left tackle and gets stopped at the goal line by none other than L.J. Collier.
TCU, stand up.
Yes.
TCU.
Now, definitely his best moment as a Seattle Seahawk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, LJ, super nice dude. I love my interactions with him. It didn't work out for him in Seattle, obviously, but that was a huge time play, won the game. Actually, I don't know if you know this, but when you're walking from the press box to the broadcast booth, it's one of the photos on the wall.
Oh, is it?
Look at it next time. You'll see it.
LJ lives.
LJ lives on forever. Huge play. Seahawks win. And like I said, that was the last time Cam Newton was really playing at that level. He finished that day with 397 pass yards, which is the third most he'd ever thrown for in his career.
Goodness gracious.
30 of 44, oh my goodness, sorry. I messed it up. 397 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also had 47 yards on 11 carries and 2 touchdowns. And this was also during the Russ Cook phase, wherever you want to call it. He was 21 to 28.
That's what it was called. You know, let Russ cook. That was the era.
That's what other people were saying. Anyway, he was cooking at the beginning of the year. 21 for 28, 288 yards, 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers. DK, Tyler Lockett, Demo Swag, Chris Carson. Man, I miss Chris.
Man.
And Freddie Swain.
Big ups, Freddie.
And on defense, it's hard to remember for a lot of Seahawks fans, but Jamal Adams was balling out. He had 9 tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL, and 2 QB hits. And unfortunately, this was a game where Marquise Blair tore his ACL when he was our starting nickel, and that kind of changed the trajectory of his career. So he's back on the squad now. Was elevated last weekend. It'll be cool for him to have kind of a full circle moment. So hopefully he can get out there and knock some people around on special teams. But Bump, man, eventful week in the NFC West. Let's find out. What's the word?
Where my soldiers at? West side! Where my soldiers at? West side! And the Seahawks are the NFC West champs again.
What's the word in the West on Hawk Talk?
What's the word? The Seahawks are undefeated.
Yep.
The Niners are undefeated. And the Rams and the Cardinals both took an L. Man, it was crazy in the NFC West. I mean, the Rams and Cardinals both took an L. We'll talk about the specifics, but it was close for them.
Right.
But let's focus on the Cardinals and the Bills to start this thing, man. It was a surprising game. Just like I looked at the New England game and the Bengals score, and I go, what's going on there? Typo, ESPN, fixture score. That's the way I looked at the Cardinals, man. We didn't expect this because the Bills, they don't have Stephon Diggs anymore.
Yep.
The Cardinals have a second-year head coach in Gannon. They got Marvin Harrison. He didn't really eat that much, but I felt them going to Buffalo was just going to be the Bills doing what the Bills does, but that's not the way it all worked out, man. The first half, it was 17-3. James Conner had himself a touchdown run. He's coming off a good year, first 1,000-yard season last year. But the Bills, they woke up. All right, second half, they said, we're not playing with y'all no more. They go 7 plays, 70 yards. Josh Allen scores a touchdown, making the score 17-10 at the half. I'm sorry, going in, it was 17-13. At the half, it was 17-10. All right, in the third quarter, the Bills added 2 touchdowns. Then a familiar face, former Seahawk running back DJ Dallas takes one to the house, 96 yards. I was happy for my man DJ. Happy. DJ is such a good dude, man. Did everything he needed to do here for the Seahawks, so I was happy for him to see that. The Bills, they sealed the deal late with a field goal to win the game, 34-24. Kyler Murray had an okay day, 21 of 31, 162, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble loss. He had 57 rushing yards. That led the team. He's got to switch that up. James Conner's going to have to step up a little bit. Design some plays for him. Marvin Harrison just had 1 reception for 4 yards. Been a lot of drama with Marvin Harrison.
Man.
Going into the season.
Right. And
then that first game, got a few targets, 1 reception. But I liked his response. He was like, look, I just got to get open and do my job. Perfect response for a rookie. On the other side, Josh Allen was 18 of 23, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Carried the rock 9 times for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what he does. He accounted for the most touchdowns in the league last year, Josh Allen, when you combine the pass and the run. So that's what we expect out of him, man. Despite 62 points being scored, no receiver had more than 51 yards. Goodness gracious. I'm a receiver. That don't make me feel good. Get the receivers involved, okay? Can we do something, please?
Man, well, 2 things. For one, Josh Allen's always going to be in the MVP conversation.
Always.
I don't care who he's throwing the ball to. He's that talented. For them, it sucks for them because no matter what they do in the regular season, it's not going to matter till January or February.
Right.
That's just kind of what the standard is that they've set over there.
That's nice, though, that they have that standard, though. Look, we're going to get through the regular season, but you got to win the big one.
Well, it's a good standard to set. That's what's going to happen here pretty soon.
I believe.
But we're going to get that big one then. But the Cardinals bump, I have no idea what to think about them, and we've kind of had this conversation about them for every year. It's kind of hard to see, even when they had Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach, and even till now, they have some talented people on the roster. Kyler Murray's a dog. James Conner can play. But this gave me a little pause. I go, okay, maybe they are better than I thought they would be after 1 week doing that on the road. So we'll definitely see. The Seahawks don't play the Cardinals till later in the year. I think we play them in November is the first time. So. Flipping over to the Rams, they went over to the Lions on Sunday Night Football, and this is a rematch of the wild card playoffs from last season. Matthew Stafford returning to Detroit a second time. I still think it's messed up how people be booing Matthew Stafford, man.
That's crazy to me.
He did so much stuff there.
10 years there, and y'all gave him nothing to work with.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest receivers of all time.
Well,
but you need more than
that's
that.
it.
You need more than that, man. Show that guy some love, man.
No, but anyway, this game, again, another team, the Rams, I'm not exactly sure where they're going to be at. We know they're well coached. We know Matthew Stafford's there. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, they got dudes. Aaron Donald's gone, but they still got a lot of players there. So this game kind of went back and forth, went into overtime. The Rams battled back from a 17-3 deficit, scored 17 unanswered. The Lions would kick a field goal at the end of regulation to force overtime. Stafford showed to me, Bump, that he can still sling it. Some of those arm angles and some of the things he can do, he can still play. He went 34-49 for 317 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And Cooper Kupp, back to doing Cooper Kupp things. We talk about this boy every single week in this segment. Pride of Eastern Washington had 14 receptions, 110 yards, 1 touchdown. 14 receptions, ties a career high. But Bump, the biggest blow was the other receiver who emerged last year, Puka Nacua, rookie sensation. Left the game with a knee injury and is now on the IR. Will miss at least 4 games, so we'll see what happens there. Really tough to see the rookie out, but, man, he's a guy that you don't want to play against. So,
hey, Coop got to do what Puka did last year. Just got to step it up, hold it down for a little bit, and hopefully he comes back and he's good to go. Yeah, you hate to see Puka get hurt like that, especially coming off of the year he had last year.
Yeah, but Cooper Kupp, what was it the other year? Was it the Super Bowl year where he had
He almost had the
best,
Triple Crown. He won the
He did
Triple
have the Triple Crown,
but he almost had the receptions on a season, reception yards record. Missed it by like 30 yards or something like that.
Close. Bump, what'd you see from the Niners and the Jets?
Niners and Jets, this was a big one. I think I was, other than the Hawks game, this is the one I was most excited to watch because I want to see if the old man Aaron Rodgers can do what he was supposed to do. And 52 weeks exactly from his Achilles injury. It was 4 plays into the game, that thing goes, and he had to sit down for a long time. So everybody wanted to see. Everyone wanted to see what was going to go down, and let's see how it went down. The Jets came out. They led 7-3 after the first quarter, but the 49ers scored 23 unanswered points to take a 26-7 lead. Rodgers responded by throwing his first touchdown pass in 610 days, finding Allen Lazard on a 36-yard score. Man, 610 days. That made the score 26-13. The 49ers would add 2 more field goals to put the game out of reach. Tyrod Taylor came in the game in garbage time, throwing another touchdown to Lazard. Lazard had himself a weird game. He had a big drop, and then he also had a couple catches there. I think that's just who he is. He's going to drop it once or twice, but he can make some plays for you. Rodgers finished the game at 13 of 21 for $167, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. On the other side, Mr. Irrelevant. When are we going to stop calling him that? Is that, you think he embraces that at this point, or is he like, come on guys, I'm legit?
I think you had to embrace it because he didn't have any other option. Right? But at this point, I think he's past that.
He's past that. All right, I'm gonna stop doing that to you, Brock, until you play us, and then
right.
He went 19 of 29 for 231, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But the story of the game was Jordan Mason. None of y'all had him on your fantasy football team. None of y'all. Maybe someone picked him up because he did slip up and tell people that he was gonna start. But he was obviously playing for Christian McCaffrey. He ran for 147 yards on 28 carries, 1 touchdown. Debo also had 77 yards and 1 touchdown. The Niners got Minnesota next week. I expect them to get it done. You got Sam Darnold over there. But the Niners look like the Niners. No surprise there, even with Christian McCaffrey out. Remember, it was one year they had Mostert that was going off, and they had Jeff Wilson that was going off. It seems like whoever you put in that backfield is going to be fine, but there's no one like Christian McCaffrey.
There's no one like him, but, man, they're so talented and so stacked offensively, and it pains me to say that because they're, the bitter rivalry, obviously. Right. But, no, they're amazing. And the thing about it is they didn't skip a beat. Trent Williams isn't there during camp. Mm-hmm. The Brandon Ayuk contract dispute. You had all these distractions, and they get on the field.
You know why Ayuk dropped the ball? Should have been at practice. I'm just playing Ayuk. I just got to poke a little bit.
Hey. No, but Trent came in there, and he's still that dude, and they're still rolling. So I'm really excited for that matchup against the 49ers on October 10th, I think it is, on Thursday night. It's going to be live at Lumen Field. But we got to stay focused, Bump, on the task at hand. The New England Patriots, man up.
Hey, who mans is this? Who mans is this? Man up, man up, brother. Man up, bro.
Man up on Hawk Talk.
Looking at the quarterbacks, let's start with the Patriots quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, taking on the Seahawks defense. He's been around the block, Bump.
Yes.
This is his 9th NFL season after being a 3rd-round pick from the Patriots in 2016. Since then, he's played for the Colts, Dolphins, Browns, and Commanders, and now back in New England. In his 9 years, he's started 49 of 80 games, so a little over half, and he's been the primary starter in 2017, 2019, and 2022. The Patriots announced Brissett as a starter despite drafting North Carolina quarterback Drake May 3rd overall. I alluded to it earlier. This was a team decision, it seemed like. They don't want to rush the rookie out there with a line that might be banged up and just putting too much pressure on him to step up and be that guy right away.
The worst thing you can do is start this young man, have him fail, and then sit him. Because mentally, you don't know what that's going to do to him. I don't care if people say, but you treat quarterbacks differently. Yes, you do. Because if you don't have a quarterback, you ain't winning no ball game. So for the Patriots, for Drake, I'm happy they set him down, as a person. I think of him as a person. I'm glad they set him down so he can develop and get right.
Well, and you think of like the Zach Wilsons of the world. You think of all these quarterbacks that probably started too early and just never recovered, right? Even Sam Darnold. A lot of them like that, right? They were highly touted and just never really recovered. So anyway, so he's starting the season on the bench. But, the Patriots, like I said, are bringing him along slowly. That being said, Brissett came in and played good enough ball. Winning football against Cincinnati, 15-24, 121 yards, no touchdown, no picks. He's not going to do anything flashy.
Nah.
We know who he is. He's rarely going to kill you with his arm. He's only thrown for 300 yards 6 times in his 49 career starts, so he's not going to kill you in the arm. Career stats, 10,000 yards, 51 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. But, Bump, on the Seahawks side, it's been one sample size, but they were flying around. They made Bo Nix look like the rookie he was last week, and the Seahawks boast the 4th best passing offense after just 1 week in the National Football League. So I look for them to get after Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, get after him. He only tossed, I believe, I looked at his chart, like 3 passes over 15 yards. Like, that's not his thing. He has the ability to push it down the field, but they want to hand the ball off, play action, dink and dunk, and just get through the game. Let's focus on our quarterback, Geno Smith, man. He didn't light it up the first play.
Yeah.
It was the worst start you can think of, right? First play is a sack. Second play is an interception. Obviously, then they get the ball again, false start, but they bounced back. After all that, he ended the day 18-25. He completed 72% of his passes for 171 yards and 1 touchdown. I mentioned that interception. He also had the longest rush of his career.
Come on.
34 of them things for a touchdown. And it wasn't like I don't feel comfortable running, I just have a lot of space. It was, there's space, I'm taking off, I'm putting a move on the safety, I'm getting in the end zone. That was fun to see. He said he's been grinding this offseason. You saw it with that run right there, man. So his 72% completion percentage was 9th best in the NFL during week 1. I thought it'd be top 5 for sure, but other guys were balling as well. In 2023, he threw for 3,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Look, this Patriots defense, we haven't seen them a lot. Only 1 week, but they will present some challenges, man. We're going to talk about some challenges on the defensive line and how that O-line is going to bounce back. But they play well against Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow has a great reputation in this league. He is a baller. He was 21 of 29, 164, no touchdowns, and sacked 3 times. If you can protect Geno this week, there's going to be some opportunity out there.
No question about it. No question about it. And I like what you said about give Geno his respect.
Yeah.
Put some respect on his name. He has been grinding this offseason, and everyone kind of made fun of it. No, once he took off, the safety wanted him one-on-one, open field. Bop, bop. Put a move on him. Come on, Geno. We got your back, dog. Staying on offense, let's flip it over to the running backs. Ken Walker taking on this Patriots front 7. Ken Walker was definitely the MVP of last game. Without question on the offensive side of the ball. He had 103 yards on 20 carries and the 1 touchdown. Went over 100 yards for the 7th time in his short career. But the most impressive stat to me, Bump, is the damage he did in the second half. First half, 7 carries, 19 yards, 2.7 a carry. Second half, I said the first half, excuse me. Second half, he went off 84 yards on 13 carries and a touchdown, 6.4 yards per carry. Now, Walker did suffer an abdomen injury that sidelined him late in the 4th quarter against Denver. And as of right now, he's day-to-day, so we're going to wait on that. So if Walker can't go this week, we're still in good hands. Zach Charbonnet had a 30-yard touchdown last week. And Kenny McIntosh has still yet to get an official carry, not including the preseason.
It's going down.
In the National Football League.
It's going down this week.
So if Ken Walker can't go, it'll be really interesting to see what Kenny McIntosh can do, potentially in the first time toting that rock in the NFL in a regular season game. But it's going to be tough. We talked about it before. This Patriots defense is impressive, holding the Bengals to just 70 yards last week. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. Their head coach, a defensive guy. So definitely going to be a big matchup, but I'm excited to see what the Seahawks can do there, bro.
Be stubborn with the run. It's going to open everything up, and I believe in these running backs. If Ken Walker ain't ready to go, Zach Charbonnet and Kenny Mack will be just fine. Let's talk about New England's running back, Ramondre Stevenson. Man, this dude is in his 4th season, was a 4th-round pick out of Oklahoma in 2021. Last week, he did his thing, 120 yards, 25 carries, and 1 touchdown. He's never gone back-to-back 100-yard game. So,
why start this week?
Exactly. Just be who you are.
Right.
Just be who you've been your whole career. You ain't got to go for 100 now, man. In fact, the Patriots haven't had a running back go back-to-back 100-yard games since Damian Harris in 2021. Steven is trying to return to his 2022 form where he had the best season of his career in 2022. 210 carries, 1,040 yards, 5 touchdowns. He also had 69 receptions for 421 yards and 1 touchdown. His 69 receptions led the team and was 4th in the NFL among running backs. Last year, he took a step back, rushing for just 619 yards, 156 carries, and 4 touchdowns. He injured his ankle in Week 13 and never made it back, was placed on the IR. He's a physical back, and he will fall forward, but he also make you miss too.
Right.
Like I mentioned earlier in the show, that he made a couple moves in the backfield to where it's like, look, if you don't wrap up and tackle him, he can break one. But tackling wasn't an issue for these guys last week. The Seahawks, let's keep the good times rolling.
How nice is that to say, man?
So it felt so good.
Because the last couple of years, tackling has been an issue, and it's not something McDonald wasn't getting questions about, hey, how can the tackling get better?
Yeah.
What are you doing in practice? No. Tackling was on point. Defense was flying around. Let's keep it on the Patriots side. Let's flip over to defense. Keon White against the Seahawks offensive line. Now, I'm not going to lie, full disclosure, I did not know a lot about this man before this week.
Yeah. Got to know him, though.
We were talking about it walking up here.
Yeah.
We turn on the tape. You're like, wow, who is this dude? He is all over the field causing havoc. For those who don't know, he was a second-round pick, played at Old Dominion and Georgia Tech, was incredibly active in Week 1, 4 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 TFLs, 3 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble. And outside of that, he's just causing havoc all game. He's going to move around, but he primarily lines up on the left side, the offensive right. And, you know, he had more sacks in the game than he had all of last season in 16 games. Not like he didn't play last year. He only started for 4 games, but he was in all 16. And he's definitely going to play a lot larger role in their defense with Matthew Judon not there, especially under Coach Mayo. 2023, he had 26 tackles, 3 TFLs, 5 quarterback hits, 1 sack, 3 passes defended. Now, the Seahawks offensive line, they took their lumps a little bit early on, but had a great second half. And when you look at individual matchups, the 2 that stood out to me, Connor Williams did his thing. I thought he played a good football game.
Played great.
And then Charles Cross.
Yep.
Bump. 67, I don't know what's gotten into him because he was a great player beforehand, but he's a different dude this year. He's such a calm, nice demeanor, but he was putting dudes into the ground. He found there's the Ken Walker's touchdown. I talked about this on the recap pod.
Yeah.
His old teammate, old friend, Cody Barton, standing over there, just picked him up, bam.
Grown
right
man.
in the ground.
He's comfy. He's man, 3rd year. There's something that's special that happens. It's like high school. My coach used to say, wait till your junior year.
Yeah.
It's going to be different. Like, Coach, I was All-American sophomore. What you talking about? Wait till your junior year. Your 3rd year, man, you figure some things out. So I'm excited that he had the day that he had. Let's talk about these Patriots receiver. They haven't done a lot over the past few years, man. The numbers aren't great. No. Patriots haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Julian Edelman in 2019. It felt like Julian ain't played since 2016 for some reason. It felt like it's been longer than that.
I mean, it probably even feels longer for context because that was before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So that might as well be 15 years
ago. That's what it is. Pandemic added like 5-6 years to my body. All right, 2023, they ranked 28th in passing. The last 2 years, running backs Ezekiel Elliott and Ramondre Stevenson led the team in receptions. That's never good. Nope. That's never good. The team looked to address the lack of production. They drafted a local kid out of UW, Jalen Polk. He's got potential. In the preseason, he was doing his thing. I think he might be a late bloomer, like later this year or maybe the next year. So let's keep him young so far. But they got Demario Douglas in 2023. He had 49 receptions for 561, 0 touchdown. Last week he had 2 for 12. You got Tyquan Thornton. 2023, he had 13 receptions for 91 yards, 0 touchdowns. Last week, 2 for 27. New impact players, they got KJ Osborne. Sorry, that word always jacks me up. Remember the Osborns, the reality show? Still jacking me up. Yeah, still jacking me up. I'm just calling him KJ. KJ had 220 in 2023 at Minnesota. He had 48 receptions for 540 yards and 3 touchdowns. Last week, he had 3 for 21. And then Polk was a part of the greatest offense we've seen in a while in college football at UW. 69 receptions, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. Last week, he had 1 for 6. I'm just saying, look, there's potential here. You don't sleep on nobody. KJ has shown that he can do it. Right. Polk did it last year at UW. Let's just not have this be the game where they figure something out and get these guys involved. I would love for them to rely on running backs to be leading receivers on this team.
No question about it. The way this defense is playing under Coach McDonald, if you're going to be one-dimensional, good luck, dog.
Yeah, for real.
Good luck with this secondary, the way they're playing. It'll be interesting. And I've heard a lot of good things coming out of New England also about Jalen Polk as well. while he only had the one catch for 6 yards, everyone was talking about he was still getting open. He was still cooking guys, and maybe just, not on the same page. Obviously, he's a receiver. You depend so much more on the other 10 guys out on the field. So definitely be an interesting matchup to watch. But let's flip over to our receivers. DK, Tyler, JSN taking on this Patriots secondary bump. And last week they were led by Tyler. Mm-hmm. Tyler didn't get a lot of shine all offseason. People kind of forget because just naturally, we've been saying this since his entire time in the league. Tyler Lockett is the most underrated receiver in football. And no matter what we say on this podcast, no matter what anyone says, he kind of just time and time again, he shows what he can do. Last week, numbers-wise, but he has some big catches in the second half, has a game-sealing one-handed catch that won the game, got to kneel out the clock, became the 113th player in NFL history with 8,000 receiving yards. So it was good to see Tyler ball out. But in terms of production, it wasn't a big day for the offense in terms of receivers. DK had 3 receptions for 29, JSN 2 for 19, and Lockett, as I mentioned, 6 for 77. I'd expect this group to put up a lot bigger numbers this week.
Yeah.
You can't account for starting that poorly on offense on those 3 possessions because those essentially were lost possessions. And then you start establishing the run. But I feel like if Grubb gets to do what he wants to do and establish the run and start opening things up, I'd expect these guys to have a pretty big day. And then bump the secondary for the Patriots is probably low-key one of the most underrated groups in football.
Yeah, that DB room was looking okay. Kyle Dugar, 5th-year player. He started 53 of 62 games. He has a lot of experience. In 2023, 6 TFLs, 5 quarterback hits, 5 passes defended, and 1 forced fumble. And then you got one of my favorite players to watch, honestly, Jabril Peppers, 8-year vet. He started 80 of 94 games in 2023, 78 tackles, 2 passes defended, and 5 TFLs. And then went to Oregon, a little south of us. Christian Gonzalez,
Yep.
2nd-year player. And last year, 17 tackles, 1 interception, 3 passes defended, and 1 TFL. Christian Gonzalez with Jabril Peppers and Dugar. I mean, that is a talented back end when you look at these DBs.
Well, and the numbers from last year don't even really count because he got hurt.
Yeah.
And, he was started at Colorado, right, before he went to Oregon, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
First-round pick, and I love what he did against Jamar. When they were matched up against each other, 3 for 14 20 routes run against when Gonzalez covered him. Just 3 for 14 of that. So he's definitely playing some good football, and I like to see what's going to happen there. And I would love to see what happens when he's on DK. When he's on Tyler.
You know what?
He's on JSN.
DK's due, man, because last week, like you said, none of the receivers had a great game, but there were some opportunities. And I know DK watches the film and goes, you know what? This week, they gon' get it. So take out that frustration like you do, DK, on these guys. And we can't forget Marcus Jones. He's a 3rd-year player. He had 5 tackles, 1 forced fumble. In 2022, he was all-pro. He was an all-pro punt returner. So, he's got some wiggle back there. And also, Jonathan Jones is a 9-year vet, OG in the game. In 2023, 48 tackles, 7 passes defended. Let's go. This is the NFL, man. I mean,
yeah.
Even the Carolina Panthers, who don't look good right now, got some ballers on that defense. So respect everybody, especially these guys, and let's see what we can do.
This game definitely has the feel of kind of an old school run the ball, low scoring, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. But right now, we're going to tell you how the Seahawks are going to get that victory, path to victory.
At the 45, waits for the snap. Michael Dixon puts it down. That kick is away, and that kick is good! The Seahawks win! It's good!
It's a path to victory on Hawk Talk.
Build off what happened last week, man. It was an incredible day at Lumen Field. The atmosphere was different. This team was flying around defensively. It was something we hadn't seen in a couple of years. And they just need to continue to do what they did last week. Set the tone. Fly around. Dotson, Baker, Jenkins, Love, Spoon, Reek, the back set, front 7, all of them. They were running downhill. They were hitting. Guys were going down, tackling them. So I just want to see that kind of energy and that kind of speed and aggressiveness in a second week, where now Mike McDonald had some film on these guys to study. Because going into last week, you never really knew what was going to happen, rookie quarterback. Now there's some stuff on tape. We know who Jacoby Brissett is, so I'm really excited to see what Mike can do against this Patriots offense.
Speaking of Brissett, you got to get after that dude. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. I think you mentioned during the podcast, he's been like the main starter 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Has never thrown double-digit interceptions. So get after him and make him change his ways. Get him in those 3rd and longs. And then, of course, last week they ran the ball. All right, Ramondre Stevenson, get after him, wrap him up because we know that he can play. He's a physical runner. He gets downhill. He can make you move. And then always, man, take the ball away. The snatching out the air, force fumbles. Man, J Love punched one out so clean,
Woo!
and the Broncos got so lucky, this fell right into their lap. Man, I need to see more of that.
No, I love that. And that's not a mistake. That's something you practice.
That's intentional.
Those plays don't just fall in your lap. So I love to see that. And 3 takeaways last week. Let's see if we can get 3 more. And offensively, there's no secret. They just got to start faster than that. You're not going to have another game where you give up 2 safeties, sack, interception.
You ain't supposed to win that game.
No.
2 safeties, it started the way that you started. Those are hitting points. So, yeah, I'm with you 100%.
No,
there.
I think they start faster and keep Geno clean, right? If Geno has a clean pocket, has time to throw the ball, he's going to do well. Make sure you protect him because White had a day. He can't have another 2.5 sack day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then no penalties. Don't get behind the sticks. I think we know what this team's identity wants to be, and it's running the football, and it's being physical, and then it's beating you over the top. So I'm really hoping we can see all of those on Sunday, establish the run, and this could be fun, bud.
Come on, let's get 2-0. Let's get there.
No, for sure. And I think we're going to see, this is going to be it's like a long book, right? We just saw chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
We got a 17-page book. I'm excited to see chapter 2 because if they can build off of what they did last week, this could be a really fun year, and it can lead into some really
I'm doing the audio
fun
book,
matchups.
though. You can read it. I'll do the audio book.
Audio book, yeah, smart.
Got you.
Dog, what do you think the last time I read a book was? All right, that's going to do it for us. He's Michael Bumpus. I'm Nasa Chobe. This has been Hawk Talk. Remember, you can catch us anywhere. Seahawks.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Sirius XM, and more. It's going to be fun. The Seahawks pregame show gets going bright and early in Seattle, 7 a.m. on the radio dial, where you will hear Michael Bumpus as well as the rest of the crew. Coming to you on Sunday, Seahawks taking on the Patriots, 10 a.m. kick. Can't wait to hear it from you guys, and we will talk with you again on Monday, hopefully talking about a Seahawks victory.